when you read current affairs, again read those topic of Stockholm plus 50 conference. Now let's go to another one here, which you all know that Rio Earth Summit or Rio Conference. So you know that it was organized in 1992, right? After 20 years of Stockholm. The thing is that in 1987, a very important commission called Brundtland Commission. Brundtland Commission, which was set up by the governments under the United Nations, brought its report. You are aware of the name here, this one, Our Common Future. Our Common Future, which this is a very important report which highlight sustainable development. On sustainable development, the concept of sustainable development, initiatives for sustainable development, that was brought in this particular report, Our Common Future. So why I have given you this point? This is the basis. This is the report which made General Assembly to bring governments again to a global conference, right, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 1992. Yes. Yes, we can bring you to that one. Yes, that will green economy also. Yes, true. We can bring you to that. So there, this report become there. Now, this conference, Rio Conference, Rio Earth Summit, or what we call Rio Conference. See, when you say conference, we are talking about all stakeholders, government, non-government, indigenous people representatives, scientific organizations, everybody participated. But when you say summit, within the conference, there was a separate meeting of governments. Summit is basically government talks. It was the same time, same conference time, summit was organized. So Rio Earth Summit during the Rio Conference in 1992 discussed this Brundtland Commission report. Right, this report was dealt in this conference, and based on the discussion of this report, government came out with an important document which you all know, Agenda 21. So whenever you come across Agenda 21, that goes back to 1992 Rio Earth Summit, and brought Agenda 21. So remember that Agenda 21, this landmark report is based on Brundtland Commission report. And you know that Brundtland Commission report is based on sustainable development. So what I've given here, Rio Earth Summit, Rio Conference, discuss Brundtland Commission report. What is the name of the report? I've already written there, Our Common Future, right? And brought Agenda 21. This is the outcome report. You can say, this is the, I'll write in the bracket here, this is the outcome report. Now this Agenda 21 is almost runs for 500 pages, divided into number of chapters. Now what is Agenda 21? It basically looks into all initiatives at global, then regional, and the third one it highlight local. It takes all initiatives at global, regional, local levels to promote sustainable development. Now the number 21, that represents to the present century, in 21st century. So when you talk about Agenda 21, so there is a Agenda 21, global Agenda 21, regional like Africa, Europe, Asia, and you also find local Agenda 21. It has given the goal and targets. Goals and targets are given there. So regional and local levels to promote sustainable development in 21st century, which we are right now. This conference was held in 1992, but with the new millennium, all these are now being implemented. Now, which I am now bringing here, you are aware. This Agenda 21 has played very pivotal role in bringing three important conventions. Right? Agenda 21 conventions. They are called Rio Conventions. They are called Rio Sister Conventions. They are interconnected with each other. So which are those three important conventions brought by the UN under Agenda 21? Great. Right. Always remember that. That's what today is the first class of the QP program. Why I'm bringing the beginning part? Because when I'll go to current developments, all these things will be your background. You'll be able to link the things. That's what I'm initially brought this. So what I'm now bringing here is three conventions, three Rio conventions. So first Rio convention is the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. Convention on Biological Diversity. Right. This becomes a very important convention at the global level to look into any biodiversity conservation management, right? And India being a country is signatory. We are a party to all such kind of conventions. Now, this was proposed in the 1992 itself. This CBD was what is something called adopted during the conference, during the Rio conference. Second thing which was adopted during the conference is this one, climate change. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Convention on Climate Change. Now, this was also adopted in the year 1992. Same time, the conference. And the third one which came 2 years after, UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, to take actions to prevent land degradation and desertification. UNCCD. This was brought in 1994. But they are called Agenda 21 conventions. That means, if I look at, I'll write under Agenda 21, these are the three, one of them. Although the timeline is different. Two in the same time, 92. Third one is in 1994, after 2 years. Right? So, remember for this conventions. Whenever you read about this convention, you'll always find the word Agenda 21. Now, what is the next thing here? Next thing, this conference also highlighted another very important area, forest. Right? Protection of forest. Now, what happens here? See, when you say convention, convention means you are binding the government. When the government sign and join convention, it means the government has to act. Government has to work. So there was, during that time, 1982, many countries wanted to bring a convention on the forest protection worldwide. But there are other countries which opposed. They didn't want to have, multilateral legally binding. What is something called? Legally binding convention to protect, conserve, manage forest worldwide. The reason is very obvious. Forests give us a lot of economic benefit. Right? Forest provides a lot of economic activities. Like, we have timber, then we have non-timber forest produce. And there are countries whose economy depends on forest produce, sale of forest produce. So, ultimately what UN did, based on the negotiation, there's something called negotiation. It came out not with a convention. That means today, if you have to see, always remember that. Today, there is worldwide no convention on the forest. So what UN brought there is something called United Nations Principles on Forest, guiding principles. So another very important thing of this conference is that UN forest principles were laid out. For better conservation and management of forest ecosystems. Of a forest ecosystem. Particularly, tropical forest, right? Tropical forest and all this. Even today, always a voice raised to protect rainforest, tropical rainforest. But there is no such legally binding treaty or convention worldwide. Only the guiding principles are there, which were laid out during this time, right? So when we look at Rio, the Rio comes into this context here, right? Now what I'm bringing here, after this 1992 conference, there are many Rios were there, right? I've put in a flow chart there. If you look at, first Rio is this one, what we have discussed, 1992, right? But if you take further here, Rio Conferences, so I'll give you a kind of thing. First, this main conference, Rio Conference, 1992, right, which has got this name, UN Conference on Environment and Development. UNCED, it's called UNCED. Then after this, Rio plus 5. Now this was organized in New York in 1997. Then after this came the Rio plus 10. Now Rio plus 10 conference, this was organized in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2002. And then after this, Rio plus 20. That that is again back to the Rio de Janeiro. Brazil was there, 2012. So if you look at Rio conferences, right after 1992, we have 4 such conferences. The original one, the first one, 92, the 97, right? Although it's called Rio plus 5, but the organization was New York. The Rio plus 10, Johannesburg. You should remember that. Whenever you come to Rio word, it should not mean only Rio de Janeiro. That's why I've written the name of the place also. The Rio plus 5 was New York, USA. Rio plus 10 was in Johannesburg, South Africa. But yes, Rio plus 20 was in Rio. That was in Brazil. Now here, if you look at from latest development, Rio plus 20 conference, it has 2 broad themes. Although, remember that, whenever such conferences are there, government again relook, re-examine, review past development, past initiative actions. Where are the gaps are there? How to fill the gap? They do all this kind of assessment. But there are always some kind of theme here. Rio plus 20 conference has very important outcome document, future we want. So whenever in current affairs you'll come across this name of this document, future we want. This is the outcome report of the last Rio conference, Rio plus 20. Future we want. See, our common future is the Brundtland Commission report, which talk about sustainable development. But future we want is outcome report. Now, it has gone into 2 areas here. One is this one, 70 sustainable development goals with 169 targets. And this, you are aware that 2015 to 2030, that's the agenda. Right? I'll just bring it this way. 2015 to 2030, there's the agenda there. Right? And second thing, again, here, a very important thing was launched here, PAGE. PAG. Even when you go back to previous year question, PYQ, you'll find this name of page will be given there. Now, what is page here? Partnership, you write there. There's a right there. Page stands for Partnership Action for Green Economy. Again, if you look at Rio plus 20 conference, 2012. It has also highlighted the green economy. And what is PAGE? PAGE is a platform. Here, PAGE is an initiative. Is an initiative by the UN to promote global green economy at the global level. That PAGE is the platform. And it is done by 5 organizations. I'll give you the name of organizations. UN will always. Then, development part comes a body called UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Then you are aware of this for labor, which is the organization ILO, International Labour Organization. Then for industry, there is a United Nations Industrial Development UNIDO organization, which promote development of industries, right? And then FAO. What is FAO? Food and Agriculture Organization. They have all come together for PAGE. So what the government will do here is what is the electric vehicle, then all those kind of forms of economic project. Here what they do, they fund the project. There may be some kind of projects which are funded by this kind of platform. So this again goes to Rio Plus 20. These two assessment development goals. Now when you say Johannesburg here, it has got one name add here. His name is World Summit on Sustainable Development, Johannesburg in South Africa. So again, here all the different areas which are focused there. And what UPSC has asked in the previous year, just I'm giving the name also because whenever you look at the choices given in the question paper, so sometimes they may give the official name also. So the official name of this Rio Plus 20 conference is called UN Conference on Sustainable Development. UN Conference on Sustainable Development. That is UNCESD. CESD. When you solve questions, test series questions or practice question, and you come across this United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, this is referring to Rio Plus 20 Conference 2012. And then you know that after 10 years, Stockholm Plus 50, 2022, Stockholm Plus 50 was organized. So Rio, if you look at, these are the Rios. So let's say this again, you can sometimes say what is my analysis. I have seen in the environment paper, 30% they are asking facts. 30%. If let's say 15, 16 questions, 30% of the questions are factual. Either you know or don't know. Like for example, species, protected areas, sometimes conference and conventions. Another 30%, they're asking the concept-based question, conceptual. That means you should have conceptual clarity about that. And remaining 40%, they are application-based question, practical application, like pollution, impact of pollution, day-to-day life, climate change, all this what is happening day-to-day life. So if you look at the previous, if I give you the complete kind of understanding of question paper, so you will find 30% of the question, like 2-3 questions, will direct factual. Either you know or you don't know. You cannot do the guesswork there. Then some question they will put into a very academic and conceptual level. Your understanding part, like for example, question from ecology part, question from biodiversity part, or climate change part. But remaining question, what you find will be dynamic area. What is dynamic area? Practical application. What is happening worldwide? What is happening in India? Not what was the application part, how the things are getting impacted. They're asking that. So here again you have a facts. These are the facts. It gives you background, timeline, how many Rios are there and what is the part of it, right? So initially I started the first part, conferences, to give you a kind of background, because as we will proceed further, I don't have to again go back to this. You will know this conference being talked about. Now let's come to conventions, various conventions there. And again, I'll bring about the part of it, right? So you all have copied here this one, right? Any doubt you have? Coming to the classroom is an advantage. When you are coming to the classroom, you have an advantage there. And I hope that you, in your previous teacher, have gone through all this thing here, right? For the GS Foundation batch, I have told you that I'll be getting back to the conference. Somebody was that time asked that, sir, will you cover the conference? I said that I will be covering 2 people. So that's what now I started with that, right?